My name is Sarah, so please let me know, but without further ado, Barbara Sparks.
You know, I never know how I got here. It's like, I did a show 6 years ago here. And one of the points that I made is that, and I really want to make this very strongly, every artist needs encouragers. And that's what you are. Just by showing up here tonight, especially with the snow, you are an encourager to every artist that is in this room. I just want you to know that because you're giving the message that you care about art. Now, the one thing I have not heard, however, and those of you that were at my last exhibition remember this, that I explained to you that you needed to do one particular thing, and that's when you went from painting to painting, you had to do this, you had to go, ooh. Now, I haven't heard that yet tonight. This is getting good, but you're supposed to be over there. So anyway, in my journey here, I have had a lot of great encouragers. My husband, who is in back, and he is doing a FaceTime for one of my strongest encouragers, Sheila Agee, and so Sheila. I also wanted to tell you how I sort of got here. And that is, I was trying to think about what, I actually walked into this gallery and there was a presentation here by an artist who did a bunch of paintings on all the parks. And I thought, well, that's kind of good. Well, maybe what can I paint, And so I started thinking, well, maybe Wildflowers of South Dakota. I really wasn't sure. But then I thought, well, maybe that's a good idea. And so then I made this 7-page presentation to Cody. And I said, what do you think of this? And I thought for sure he's going to say, come back next year. Well, he agreed, and then I was sunk. Because that meant that I actually had to do something. And so then I started looking around for Wildflowers, and Winston had just bought this red Jeep, which he absolutely adores. I can tell you how much he adores it by the fact that all the parts that come in by UPS every day. But anyway, so we started driving around, and as I told some of you that were here last week, there was an article, COVID hit, right? And then there was this article from the South Dakota Magazine that said 66 counties you can visit in COVID, and that you can, go visit something important. So we did. We started driving north to Buffalo. Beth, are you listening?
I'm listening.
A friend of mine, so I said last week, there's nothing in Buffalo. And she then came during the week and she showed me a book and she said, oh yes, there's something in Buffalo. But what there is in Buffalo, there was a beautiful little wildflower, and it was a sunflower. And I thought, oh my gosh, I had just finished teaching a class on composition, and this thing was amazing because it had all these beautiful, in fact it's sitting right over there, had all these beautiful colors, and it was terrific composition. It made a strong statement, so forth and so on. I thought, well, maybe I can do these wildflowers. So as I said, I made a presentation to Cody, and he thought, well, that sounds like kind of a good thing, because I was absolutely thunderstruck. Well, how beautiful it is. But you know what? That was just the beginning of the story, because once I started painting these things, I started talking to some people that actually knew something about them. And I found out that there's so much energy in all the wildflowers in South Dakota, and all of a sudden it became extremely important to me to share with you, and possibly next spring when you look down and you're not looking at your cell phone, you might see a wildflower down there. And then you will understand, especially from David Odie's talk today, about how much energy there is in the world that we, because we're so electronically connected, don't understand. We've lost it. And I'm hoping that through this exhibition and through this conversation that we're having today, and the conversation that we had last week with Mary Ellen Connolly, that maybe all of us will understand that there's so much here. There's so much richness for us to truly get an idea of. And I just want to tell you a few more things and then I'll quit. But I want to tell you a little thing about David Odie. He is very modest. But he has a wonderful book. It's called Dakota Flora. And I have a signed copy. Now it's signed to somebody else because it's on the used book market, which really makes me sad because this book, you know, I was telling somebody else earlier today, you know that feeling that you get when a little kid does something that you just think is so cute, and in your heart you just go, oh, that is so adorable, that's so cool. Well, that's how you feel after you read any of the little excerpts in this book about what's going on at South Dakota. And so I'm so happy to be able to, and David Odie, if you haven't heard about it, there's people from Sisseton, blah, 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 all over the state asking me, oh, for real, he's going to be there? And I'm going, yeah. So I do want to tell you that, just to introduce to you just a little tiny bit about this underpainting that's going on. You see the icing on the cake. I want to tell you a little bit about the underpainting. Do you know that if you look at a wildflower and you look at the seeds that are in there, that's a Fibonacci sequence? Well, that's a mathematical progression that you'll see in seashells. Can you believe that? Or in your hand. The Fibonacci sequence is everywhere. All of a sudden I'm starting to think, my God, what kind of science is going on here? And then you'll look at the common mullein. Well, this is on a different subject. People really thought that if you use the common mullein, maybe it would align your broken bones. Maybe not. But the fact is that there's so much lore, so much interest in what's going on with these wildflowers. And then the last piece that I want to tell you about before I want to introduce you to somebody that's made a big difference through his book to my life is the common mullein, and it's called Cowboy Toilet Paper. Okay, I'm going to leave you with that. But common mullein does have some interesting either lore or interest to it, because apparently every 2 years it develops these seeds, and the Native Americans would throw these seeds out into the rivers, and it has a thing called rhodonone in it, and the fish would just come up to the surface and the Native Americans would scoop them up and have dinner. Isn't that cool? So all the way through here, I tried to make this exhibition an arts and sciences exhibition. Remember back in the old days, College of Arts and Sciences? So that you would get to know a little bit more about the underpinnings of everything. And I think you're going to learn that tonight. And I'm hoping that this exhibition, along with David Odie, will give you something to think about over the winter, so that in the spring you'll be able to move from habitat to habitat and see what the world has to offer. So David, it's up to you.